Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
That's not a good start, is it? I don't even know if you got my opening bit. My opening bit was a dedication to Rob Burrow, who has sadly passed away today, fighting motor neuron disease. Terrible disease, but Rob was so brave and raised so much money for charity. I was saying I'm not the biggest rugby fan in the world, but I'm a huge Rob Burrow fan. So we're thinking about Rob Burrow tonight, and we're going to try and take our minds off that sad news by welcoming you all to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and we are proudly sponsored by Action Coach Sheffield. I'm also proud to say that we've extended our deal with VMB Autos. All their details are down below, and there's some exciting things to come to the channel coming up. So keep it Ramble. And with the latest news, well, I said the latest news, with the retain list being as clear as mud, I feel like we've been backed into a bit of a corner here because we still don't know if some players are staying or going. But we can't hold out any longer. And this is why I've done it live a little bit. I've not really done this many sort of staggered. I'm going to put a lot of pictures on screen and explain things bit by bit. I've not really done it this way. It's usually a recorded thing. But because there's so many moving parts at Sheffield United at the minute, not to mention the takeover, which, you know, don't get me started. So I'm going to tell you, we're going to lay it out. The ground rules to start off. It's going to be a ranking system. And it's going to basically, today, we are setting the table. What have we got to work with as a squad? How big a job is this rebuild? And it's a bit of an eye-opener once. And these are just my opinions. And as we go through, you can agree or disagree. I'll be reading back the comments. And before we start, then building players to come in future rambles, I'll take it on board as to whether you believe my rankings were right and my priorities and stuff like that. So we can all do this together, essentially. So I am going, and I have to go by assumptions in so much as I don't think Adam Davis will be here. I don't think Anel Ahmedhodzic will be here. I don't think Vinny Souza will be here. And I don't think Ollie McBurney will be here. Nor do I think Koulibaly will be here, but he's one that often gets forgotten, unfortunately. So those 5 are omitted from this squad because I don't think they'll be part of this squad going forward. That's just my opinion. That could change, and we may have to retrospectively include an Ollie McBurney. I've also not included Ben Osborne. I think the back and forth with his contract, I think he'll end up just getting a deal elsewhere if they don't get that resolved soon, whatever's happening with that. So no Aussie either. The one I think may stay is John Egan. And again, we might have to adapt this to fit John Egan in or take John Egan out because he's in my squad at the moment. So this is how it's going to work. Ramble rules for the squad build. You're getting a 1 to 5 rating. If you're 1, you're poor, really poor. If you get a 2, you're unproven or you're an average player. 3 is solid to good. 4, very good. And 5, excellent or ramblicious, if you like, as we've done previously. So this is now looking at 2 positions for each place in the squad. So you'll get a mark out of 10 as to how strong the squad is in that position. Now, first up, I'll give you an idea because this is goalkeeper. Now, I don't think Adam Davis will be here, as I've said. We know that we're releasing Wes and Jordi Amissa. So the senior goalkeeper at the moment on the books is Ivo Gerbic. And for me, he's poor. I think some will agree that he's poor. His performances have been shocking. I don't think I'll face much resistance. I get that people think we should be potentially giving him a bit more time, but in terms of what we can expect from him. Again, we're going to be trying to sell him, I believe. So he may not even be involved in this conversation, but without him, we've just no numbers in that department. So I had to include him for this purpose. The second keeper in this position is Luke Faxon. He gets a 2 because he's unproven. We've not seen anything out of Luke, but we've heard a lot of positive things. Very young keeper, played really well for the under-21s this season, coming up from the under-18s. So that, obviously, for those of you keeping up with the maths, that is 3 out of 10. That is a position that we need to focus on. And it don't get loads better throughout, if I'm honest. There's a couple of positions that you can probably guess that I think are okay. And the rest, it's quite frightening. Now, you've got to remember, whether we've got money to spend from a takeover or we're being sensible from existing ownership, there will still be a bit of leeway. It's said at the moment that we'll probably have the 3rd best budget in the league under the current ownership, whether that's transfer fees or wages. So we are going to have a competitive budget, but we'll need it with the job that's on. So again, to remind you, I'm taking an L out of this squad because I don't think he'll be a Sheffield United player come kick-off of the new season. So we're looking at right centre-back at Dovis Asnauskas, who is, a lot of you probably be saying, who's that? Well, he's a 17-year-old Lithuania youth international. He's captained our under-21s this season. He's said to be good in the air and comfortable playing out from the back. But again, unproven, so he's a number 2. He's a number 2. He's a 2 because we don't know what we're going to get out of him, do we? He could be best prospect ever and just not make the cut. You look at somebody like Andre Brooks, who hasn't quite proven himself, which we'll obviously come on to later. His backup at right centre-back, again, unfortunately, is Lewis Pitton. Again, a lot of you won't really know much about Lewis. Neither did I, to be fair. I had to go looking for this. Said to be a commanding centre-back at 18 years old. A Poland youth international as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he got the important goal to win the cup recently as well. So potentially 2 very good players at United, but we don't know. We just don't know how they're going to get on. So that is a 4 at right centre back out of 10. It's not a great start, is it? It's not great. But what I did say is I do think we'll retain John Egan, and that is a huge bonus for us. Can't forget, he's our club captain. I'm pretty sure that we've got an extension on Egan's contract, although I haven't had that confirmed. But I think we've got an extension on Egan's deal. Egan stays, and for me, he's a very good championship player. He gets a 4 out of 5. And he's backed up by another youth prospect, Evan Easton, who I like the look of. I think he's probably, of the 3 youth centre-halves that we've mentioned, I think he's probably the most ready to step up. But again, it's a 2, isn't it? Because he's unproven, which gives us, in our middle centre-back position, a 6. And obviously, I'm going with the tried and tested Wilder formation of 3-5-2. Let me know if you agree with that, disagree with that. But obviously, I can't start doing 4-4-2s and loads of different connotations of it, because we're going to have to try and build this squad to be competitive in the Championship, and it's already looking like a tall order. Left centre-back, we know a bit more about. Some of you will think I've gone low on Jackie Robinson here, giving him a 3. That is a good, a solid and a good. And I think he is that in the Championship. You could maybe argue that he's very good. I'm not quite there yet. Played well last season individually, but still part of a defence that conceded 104 goals. So for me, he's a 3. I think also, trust it, he's not a 2 because he's unproven. He's a 2 because he's average, and he's shown me no more than being an average player, and he will be back up to Jack Robinson in this team. So ultimately, that's a 5. So it's not looking great, is it, in defence? I don't know whether that's along the same lines as you'd originally thought yourselves, but that's where I am at the moment. Moving on to right wing back. Jayden Bogle, solid option for United. Looks like somebody we haven't been able to agree a contract with, which is disappointing. But looking at the lack of options that we've got so far in terms of quality, do we keep him and maybe just risk him going for free at the end of the season? Jayden Bogle's a 4. He's a very good Championship right wing back for me. And he's backed up by unproven Sam Curtis following the departure of George Baldock. Georgie boy. George Baldock going off to Panathinaikos, and, absolutely deserved move, but heartbreaking all the same for us Blades. Yeah, so that leaves us with a 6 at right wing back. Very average in terms of squad depth. Left wing back. Who have we got at left wing back? We've extended Reece Norrington-Davies. If he can stay fit, and that's a big if, because if he does stay fit, there's such a strong player in there. I'm really pleased that we've managed to keep him for another year. Hopefully he can stay match fit and kick on this year, because there is definitely a player in there. And he is backed up by Jilly Buyaboo, who, again, is unproven. He gets a 2 because he's not shown anything. We've sort of seen fleeting appearances in the first team under Eke. I think he came on 2 or 3 times previously. He's not featured under Wilder, to my knowledge. So that leaves us with a 5 at left wing back. And this weak left-hand side that we thought were a bit of a myth is coming to fruition a little bit, isn't it? So, yeah. So Buyaboo, just on Gilly, he actually went out on loan to Motherwell in the January window, but came back early due to personal reasons. And it's not been disclosed, and nor should it be, because it's nobody else's business why he came back. But whatever that is, let's hope he's over those issues and comes out the other side, and he can kick on his Sheffield United career, because they speak very highly of Jilly Buyaboo in and around Sheffield United. Into midfield then, the right centre midfield, and it's our first excellent Gus Amer. Gus Amer is one of the 2 players that we're going to mention that we need to build this team around. He is absolutely top draw, particularly at Championship level. Showed his class towards the end of the Premier League season. Can we hold on to him? That is the one key thing that we need to focus on. Can we hold on to Gus Amer? Because if we can, it gives us half a chance on it. More than half a chance, some would say. And on that right-hand side, he's going to be backed up by Anis Ben Slimani, who, for me, you could have given him an average 2, or you could give him an unproven 2. He doesn't sort of move into solid or good for me just yet, but I think he has got the potential to do that. So we've played it safe with Anis, and we've given our right centre midfield a 7 out of 10, which isn't too bad, but that's largely due to Gus, obviously, who's absolutely top draw. Moving into the middle now, the number 4, the number 8, whatever you want to call him. Future captain, prior captain, Ollie Arblaster is our second 5, and it won't surprise you that these are our only 2 5s in the team. We have to be able to keep hold of Blaster if we can, if there's any chance of it, build the team around this kid. He is a blade through and through. He may well be destined for better things, bigger things. We've seen the progress in such a short period of time. If we can hold on to him in the Championship, him and Hamer could be the key between us really challenging or dropping off completely. So anything we can do to keep Blaster. He's going to be backed up, again, by somebody that you might not be overly familiar with if you don't follow our under-21s. Owen Hampson, under-21 captain, and not really an option we want to thrust in there, particularly because he hasn't really, I don't even think, he might have made the bench once or twice. But Owen Hampson's unproven, gets a 2 out of 5 rating because he's unproven. He's our under-21s captain, I believe, because that has changed a few times this season, but I think he certainly finished with the armband. He's a Welsh youth international as well, which is always positive that our youngsters are involved with their national teams. But yeah, Owen Hampson is the backup, which leaves our centre midfield with another 7, a 5 and a 2 for our centre midfielders. Moving over to the left, and not quite the superstars of Hamer and Blaster, my starting left centre midfielder, if fit, would be Tom Davies. Tom Davies, I think, is a good, solid player. He might not have seen it. We might not necessarily have seen it in a United shirt. We have in very small flashes for me, but we know there's a player in there because of what he's done at Everton previously. His main problem, as we all know, is staying fit. So if Tom Davies can stay fit, he starts in left centre midfield for me in this squad currently. and he's backed up by Andre Brooks, who is, I've given him a 2 for unproven. Some of his performances towards back end of season may lean towards average, but there is definitely a player in Andre Brooks. I would love to see Brooksy out on loan somewhere this season. If we can get another midfielder in to bolster that that area, either on loan from the Premier League, because we get 5 now, or something, a starting midfielder, that will obviously, Tom Davies will then be the backup, probably across the 3. And then we can potentially look at loaning Brooksy out to get some much needed minutes under his belt. So that leaves us with a 5. And that left-hand side is looking quite vulnerable at the minute. Now, again, you guys let me know if you think I'm way off here, because I could be reminding you that there's no Vinny Souza in the team. I don't think he'll be here. There's no Koulibaly. Don't think he'll be here. So that's why they're not included. We move to strikers. And again, options are thin. In my first starting berth, I've got Ryan Brewster, and he's getting a 2. If you want to call it unproven, you can, because he's not really had a clear run in the team. You could argue that he's average. I don't think he's done enough to be classed as good. I think there's certainly the potential to be a very good player in there. But Ryan Brewster, in this squad as it's set up currently, because I don't think Ollie Mack will be here, and I don't think Jebba will be here. Just my opinion. And if they do, we can rejig this and look at it again. But Ryan Brewster starts, and he's backed up by a young sensation, Louis Marsh. Again, if we can strengthen this position, he is somebody that I'd like to see out on loan to get some proper minutes. So that gives us a 4 up front. And he don't get much better, unfortunately, because alongside Ryan Brewster is Will Asula, who, again, despite getting more minutes this season, signed a new contract. I'm delighted he's staying, because the potential is clear for all to see. Some think he will absolutely rip the Championship to pieces. I'm not so sure, if I'm honest. I think the tools are there, but composure in front of goal is the thing you absolutely need as a striker, and I don't think he's mastered it, certainly at this level yet. And I can't wait for him to prove me wrong on that. He's unproven as we speak, as is his backup, Ryan O'Neill, who also gets a 2. And he needs a loan too. So if we can get a couple of strikers in here to bolster the front line, at least a couple of strikers, because at the minute, this is what our team looks like. And that is pretty frightening to me. That shows just how much work there is to do. Now, I'm going to jump into your comments, because that has been almost 20 minutes of me rambling. And I know that that's what it's all about. But it's obviously on this channel, we work together, don't we? And we build together. So as it stands, that is me setting the table. That is our squad now. And we are going to build and suggest players that can come into that squad to strengthen it. Who goes out? What the new player does. We can potentially do another video at the end of the window and look at the squad strength again. And hopefully, well, surely we've improved significantly, because we need to. So I'm going to jump into your comments tonight, and we'll get going. Obviously, there'll be a few comments before I started, so we won't maybe not get into that sort of content until I've got through some comments. But Nick says, "Evening, Jimmy. You were brilliant on Friday for Football Heaven Live. Thank you, mate. Despite the booing Wendy fans, praising the Blades fans for this season was spot on. Yeah, really enjoyed that, and thank you to the Football Heaven team for inviting me down. I still think I was stitched up by going on after Steve Bracknell, but it was very much a great laugh and a great night, and fair play to the lads for putting on a brilliant evening. Steve Bracknell is very, very funny, as most of you will know anyway. So, yeah, really enjoyed it. So thank you, Nick, for your kind words, pal. Evening, Jimmy. Any updated news to share? This Aussie U-turn news this morning seems to have created more questions than answers. Was offered one, then not, now might be. Keep up the good work. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. So you're talking about the Alan Nixon story, I believe, S17 Blade, and where Alan Nixon basically put a story out, which is such a non-story. It's unbelievable. Aussie might be offered a contract. Well, we don't know, do we? The Aussie, to-ing and fro-in, I don't think there's been any update to Alan Nixon about that. I just think he's throwing something at the wall, personally. So, no, I've not got an update directly about Aussie. There's obviously something going on in the background, but I won't be surprised if he goes, to be honest. Showy, good evening, pal. Been looking at the old vids, Jimmy. You've come on so much since you started. Thanks, mate. Yeah, that's true. Obviously, a lot more professional now, but still accessible. I think that's your strength. Onward and upwards, mate. Thank you, pal. Thank you. You can never lose that, can you? Well, there's no, it's changed, has it really? I might have be a little bit more polished in what we deliver. But we said that, and then I start the stream with a muted microphone. So as long as it appears professional, I'm good with that. Thanks, pal. Ian, good evening, mate. Class move from the Prince to take time to visit Bash in Newcastle. I think it's the mark of the man. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. That were never in question for me personally. Having been fortunate enough to meet him, I've always found him to be very respectful, a very nice bloke. People will say that don't make you a great owner, and I understand that point as well. But yeah, nothing but positive things to say about him as a person. Also, the fact that the Prince is over here and it's reported the new consortium are, maybe it's very close. Maybe, pal. Maybe we'll have some news on that soon. Although it's not right to talk about takeovers, is it? Apparently. I see ya. Evening, Ramblers. Good evening, Nick. Hope you're well, pal. Hope you're well, matey. Yes, Jimmy Live. Up the Ramble, up the place. Top man, Josh. I want the season to start so bad I'm missing the championship. Oh, here we go. Nick Cook again. Here he is, Mr. Love that. I'm catching it all, mate. Thank you. I'm catching it all because as I've sort of started to drop in subtly here and there, we are getting closer to something really big happening with this channel. And I'm delighted that you're all here for the ride. But there'll be some updates coming out very shortly. I mean, hopefully tomorrow is the last day on the build of that. So I might be in there before we know it. I'm going to potentially have a bit of an opening ceremony or something like that to just for the laugh, to be fair. It's not going to be serious. But yeah, so it's exciting what could potentially be happening in there. The channel and ultimately my future is, we might be having more time to commit to the Ramble going forward. Hopefully, we'll see. George says, hopefully, Prince Abdullah stays as minority shareholder. If the takeover gets over the line, classy from Prince Abdullah with Bash. Any info from Friday at City Hall? Lastly, get Tom Cannon in, up the Blades, up the Ramble. Tom Cannon's a great shout, and I really like him. No info directly from Friday at the City Hall. Agree on the Prince Abdullah thing. And in terms of him being a minority shareholder, the rumours doing the rounds, and I saw Darren Smith comment on it, that this potential consortium will result in Prince Abdullah staying. That's not been confirmed. That's the offer that they were discussing previously. Evening, Jimmy. Is this consortium just buying Sheffield United, or are they buying United World? Just United, mate, as far as I know. Hope Prince Abdullah stays as a minority shareholder because what he did for Bash. Just because of what he did for Bash. Nothing. Oh, sorry, you've said that before, haven't you? Evening, Jimmy. Good evening, Tom, mate. Saw Chris Wilder post-match after Spurs game. He looked a tired and defeated man. Got to carry on with the budget set by Prince Abdullah just in case takeover goes pear-shaped. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. He's been battered for 6 months, hasn't he? Literally by opposition teams. It's not nice, and it does wear you down. And I think the first time he left, that is what wore him out. He looked jaded and burnt out, to be fair. And I can see why he would appear that way now. But if you've seen him post-season, he is absolutely raring to go. He's been busy behind the scenes, since we knew our fate, really, and probably slightly before, because, you know, there are plans that go into these things. But, yeah, he has been busy. He has, and he's chomping at the bit to get things going. In Wilder, we trust. I certainly do anyway. You know, when it's transfer window, because you see Jimmy every day. Hey, I've had about 3 days off, haven't I? I've been getting messages when you're next going live. I haven't been on every day, but I might be. I might be coming up depending on how busy we are all. If Egan was to leave, who would you give the armband to, and who is the vice captain? I would give it to Blaster, just as another sweetener for him to stay on, really. But I think what would happen is it'd go to Robbo, like it has done in Egan's absence, and Blaster will be vice captain. And I'm okay with that. Daz, good evening, mate. We have to keep the faith. What else have we got? All will be good. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Nice one, pal. Nick Cookie. Again, unbelievable. Thank you, mate. You're very kind. I've been out of the loop this week, Jimmy. You can always count on the Ramble to keep me updated and informed. Like and subscribe. Be like Nick. What a man. What a man. Ollie armband goes to Robbo, surely. Yeah, I think that's what will happen, pal. I hope the Prince stays in some capacity, all things considered. He does want the best for our club. I agree. Certainly does. Looks like the Prince is keeping an interest in the club with 20%. New investors are 80%, says Danny Boy. Let's hope they invest some dosh, Jimmy lad. Sounds squad looking bare. Need quality now, not quantity. Yeah, well, obviously you'll have just followed through watching me build or assess the current squad. Bit of a whistle-stop tour. And again, we can talk about that. Evening, Brian, one of our platinum ramblers. Evening, Jimmy and Prince Abdullah. Changing the subject. Rest in peace, Rob Burrows. Legend. Total respect for the guy. Up the blades. Up the Ramble. Like and subscribe. Absolutely right. Love the streams. Jimmy, keep them up. Thank you, Lucas. Cheers, pal. Get rid of Jebo. He would have signed ages ago if he wanted to get a tribunal fee. Hopefully no McBurney or Aussie deal. Keep Egan as a squad player and rebuild from there. Keep Slimani. Will be good in the championship. I think we've agreed on pretty much all of that, Danny boy. Evening, Sonny. I just wanted to say, if this is coming to the end of Abdullah's reign, he should be thanked for what he's done for our club. His time has been brilliant. Up the blades, up the Ramble. I know I've taken a lot of stick online, as have Sheffield United Way boys, for being seen to be in Prince Abdullah's camp. Being fortunate enough to have some perspective, we certainly don't get the lowdown on everything that's going on. And I don't think he'd give us that anyway. But knowing some of the reasoning behind some of the decisions, it's easier to understand why some of the decisions are being made. And I've said for a while, and I still believe this now, we will look back at Prince Abdullah's time as sole owner of our club and be unbelievably grateful for what he's done for us. We certainly should be when you look before and after. And there'll be some that we're never all going to agree, and that's fine. But I think when it all shakes out, he will be fondly remembered by this fan base, and it's well deserved as well. McBurney can go for me, says Nick. He's the bane of my life. Really? Fair enough. Fair enough. Paul says, evening, Jimmy. Is a slice of America pie yet, or another slice of pie in the sky? Up the blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe from a blade in Spain. Hope you're well, pal. Also, he went to see Bash&Bow today, get the testimonial announced. Would love that. He needs a testimonial, doesn't he, Bash? Evening, Jimmy. Please give me some good news by saying Jebo, McBurney and Brewster got. Brewster's got another year, pal, but the other two could be. Danny Boy says, just hope it doesn't take months to ratify. Surely, if Prince Abdullah's having a minority stake, it should at least expect the rebuild to begin. Money can be used by Prince to get deals done, and the new owner can give back when the deal's completed, and we've got a head start with newbies. I think, yeah, I would expect to start seeing movement very soon. Lundstrom on a free, Will. That's bait. That's bait. It's a no from me. Rest in peace, Rob. And rest in peace, Rob, from Tommy and Ollie there. Evening, fellow Blade, says Rob. Dave Leary, Platinum Rambler. Evening, Jimmy. Think it's an exciting time ahead. Gut tells me something will happen in the next week to 10 days. A fun summer ahead of content for you. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Yes, mate. And the rest of us, hopefully. Is it just me that wouldn't mind that Sunjic from Birmingham to complement already pretty damn good midfield? Should Hamer and Blaster stay? Maybe he's looked okay. I don't know whether they'd be willing to part with him, but I appreciate they've been relegated, haven't they? So we might have to have a look at him. Rob was the cracking player for Leeds, says Gazette, and Great Britain Rugby League. Absolutely right. John Egan is a must. And to be honest, McBurney needs to stay. Yeah, a lot of people will think that, Gaz. Hope you're well, mate. Platinum Rambler. Evening, Jimmy. Is this latest takeover news American Pie? I know you've just said that, haven't you? But yeah, it's on, mate. It's coming. Right, so we're on to some ratings here. This is the meat and gravy of the video, isn't it? So, Gerbich is a 0. Nick, we haven't got any zeros. We're going with Paul. He's got a 1. Need an experienced keeper. Danny Ings for me. Cheap, however, the wages in the league will be difficult. His wages will be astronomical. My dad mentioned him a couple of times to me, but I bet he's on about 70, 80 grand a week. Plus, I think he's been linked to a return to Southampton. Gaz agrees. Poor, another pathetic signing. A 3. Cracking goalkeeper. It's alive, mate. It's alive. And I think with people jumping in with comments, it could go a little bit south here, but we'll see. I'll try and work out which players we're talking about. So 3 with Gazza's next comment. He's gone with 3, and that's good to solid. That'll be Luke Faxon, won't it? I assume. But you'd have said that about Andre Brooks coming in before he made an appearance as well. Don't always mean that, does it? Another cracking prospect from the academy. I understand that, mate. Any news on Worrell, Jim Bob? No, mate, nothing at the minute. He's on the radar, and I like him a lot too. Are we just naming under 21s here, says Nick? Yeah, it looks like it, mate. I think that's, yeah. The Saint says, thanks, Ramble, for the acknowledgement of Rob Burrow, true world-class rugby player and gentleman. Absolutely right. I know a lot of people, I don't know Rob myself, and I've never met him, but I know a lot of people close to him. So, yeah, it's tough, especially around these parts. My 83-year-old dad is a better option than Joe Worrell. Wowly, wow. You had me at Ramblelicious, says Man Mountain. Honestly thought you'd been being a beautiful backyard Ramble lane by now. Catch you soon. Up the blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe from Platinum Rambler, Man Mountain. Thank you, mate. 4 and 3, says Gaz. What have I missed, says Craig. Right back has gone from a 9 out of 10 to a 6 out of 10. I know. 4 if he can stay fit, that'll be Bogle probably. I must keep his Hamer, Brooks and Blaster. Yeah, I agree. Brooks will be some player in the future, I think. Worried for next season, says Bry. Nick says, Hamer is our ace up the sleeve. I'd still like to see him in a 10 role. Think he would be a real surprise. I agree. You make it sound like we're a dead club. Sheffield United is a big club, a great club. We can easily keep our Blaster. They're under contract for a start. We are a big club. There's no doubt about it. But there are levels to this game. And if we got an offer of 25 million quid for Ollie Arblaster, we're taking it. And that is a fact rather than opinion, I'm afraid. Gaza, I know you're putting marks in here, but because I haven't been in real time with your comments. Like, when you're saying 2, if fit, 3 and 3, I don't know what you're on about, I'll be honest, because that's my fault, because I should have been a lot clearer in how we did it. It's the first time we're doing this sort of thing live. You know how we roll now, Gaz. Gaz says, if someone offers 20 to 30 million for Blaster, it concerns me we could sell. That's my point. Yeah, I agree. I think we will. I think we will sell. I don't think we should, but I think we will. If fit, Tom's a 4 at this level. Very good at champion. Yeah, I know some people will argue that. I've not seen enough of him to say he'll be very good. I've obviously seen him play for Everton and United, but I've not seen anywhere near 4 levels from him at the minute. We can compete next year, says the Saint. We all need to stop panicking. No, One, who would have been a 4? One's not a 4. How can you say One is very good when he hasn't played a senior game for United? Oh, he's come on once, hasn't he, as sub? 100% we can compete. A few additions and we'll be challenging, says Gaz. Love that. Love that optimism. Blaster and Gus are different gravy, says Baschenbauer. Absolutely right, they are. We're not panicking. There's no point worrying over nothing. The window's not even opened yet. And the Saint thinks we're close to being invested in. The Saint, it's the first time I've seen you here, pal, and love that you're contributing. Thank you for that, mate. But do you know something that we don't know? And if you're happy to share, then jump in. How do, Jim, says Scott. Great view as always. Thank you, mate. This has brought me back down to earth with a bump. This 11 is worrying. We all knew business needs doing, but this shows it loud and clear. Pray we move soon. Up the blades. Up the Ramble. When Jimmy reads comments out, he'll have no idea who your ratings apply to. Stick the names in. Thank you, Ian. Yeah, I know. Thank you, Ian. And thank you, Gaza, because I appreciate you contributing, but I had no chance of keeping up with that. Everyone will say I'm mad, but we need to keep McBurney. You're mad. No, you're not. You're not mad, because there's value in McBurney, proven at championship level, and will cost a lot to replace. You're right, Gaz. And the situation we're in with having so many other positions to strengthen, which we can see now if we're on a similar wavelength with that squad, then keeping McBurney boosts us significantly. For me, he'd only be a 3. I think he's good to solid, but some would give him a 4, which makes our squad depth position a lot stronger. Only don't need a loan. Throw him in the first team with Marsh, says Gaza. Gaz, my opinion on this is If you stick a Sula in the under-21s, which we did recently, he got a hat-trick in first half. He looks an absolute monster. That is the difference in levels. It's a bit like boxing in some ways. That the under-21 level, particularly because we're not a Cat 1 academy yet and we can't up our levels of opposition, the level we're playing at is a cakewalk. There's no other way to say it. It's really straightforward football. We've won that league. Was it last 4 years? We've dominated recently. And that's credit to our youth setup. But then the step up is huge. Look at somebody like Antoine Hackford, couldn't get in the starting lineup, couldn't get in the squad at one stage at Burton on loan. So for every Illiman that comes through, which is one in a million, but even for every Arblaster, and there's a lot that, you know, I'd have thought Zach Brunt would have made a good fist of it, and he's at Barnet. So I get what you're saying. They look brilliant for the 21s, but the level is nowhere near. I think they need testing at a higher level in men's football. And again, that's my opinion. They may get a chance in pre-season and rip it up, mate. And I hope they do. I won't mind you being right at all. We need more positive look at things. We're a strong club, always will be, said the State. Absolutely we will. It's no sort of negative spin against the club that we're in a bit of a sticky spot at the minute. And we're not really. We're coming down from the Premier League with parachute payments, with all these fantastic plans for growing the infrastructure. So we are going to be on solid foundations going forward, particularly if this takeover goes through and there's more investment in the club. We're in a strong position in a lot of ways, but we've also just been relegated. And if there is a chance, we already know we've got to, we've had such a huge turnover, or we're about to see such a huge turnover of players. There's so much work to do. And there's also the possibility that we lose our 2-star men. And I don't think we will lose both. I think we might lose one or the other. But that's a possibility too. If Jebo rumours are true, says Bill, would you rather see him go and give a Sula a run in? Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Yeah, that's where I've gone with Bill. I don't think, when you said Jebo rumours are true, do you mean that he's off? Because I think he's going. But yeah, Sula's going to have to get a run in this current squad for me. But I would like to bring in 2 decent strikers, which we'll get onto in future rambles, obviously. Crazy step up from 21s to first team. Both need loans first. Yeah, in agreement there where I said, but again, it's all about opinions. Keep it Bernie all day if his heart's still in it. Big question. Big question, because when he's on it, he can be very good, can't he? Anel to Chelsea. I don't know about that. He might. I think the rumour was 20 million, weren't it? We snapped their hand off for that, don't we? Bean says, wouldn't personally, but saw a few mention it on Twitter. Would you take Lundstram on a free? I think his last season with us was a joke, as was his last season with Rangers. They wouldn't be freeing him if he were any good at all. And that league standard is really poor in Scotland. It's a 2-horse race, and then it's League One standard, isn't it? So no for me. You can see Joe Worrell, John Egan, and Jack Robbo at the back. That'd be class, wouldn't it, Jamie? Left wing back would love to have Harrison Burrows. Right wing back Darnell Furlong. Back up to Bogle. Alan Brown for centre mid. Replace Norwood. Looks like Jebo will leave. Not shocked. Jebo, Lundstram back on a free. Seems to make sense for me. Don't for me, pal. And I know what you're saying. There's obviously positions to fill in the squad. And he's been around the place before, but nah. He phoned it in for the last 6 months, didn't he? My only concern is if the change of ownership drags on, it will hinder our transfer plans, says Joe. I agree. The window opens in about 2 weeks. Massive window, 10 plus signings needed. Yeah, that's right. Lunny's attitude at the end seemed a bit poor, in my opinion, says Gaz. Completely agree. No Hillsborough to sadden my eyes. Sorry, mate. I don't know where we are with that. We need 2 strikers, says Steve. Ball-winning midfielder like Alan Brown, a defence containing McNair and Worrell, and a class goalkeeper. Yeah. Not far off, to be fair. Bean says, I hope we get some faces in soon. Need to get fans excited again after the longest season in history. Absolutely, yeah. I think we will. Jimmy, are you inviting us all to your house for an open evening? I'll be there. No, mate. No, I've already had the Scarborough warning off Mrs. Ramble about don't be inviting people to our house that I don't know. Okay, love. Didn't see you on Friday, but we walked out after some at Mins. Couldn't listen. Okay, fair enough. Not for you then, David. Fair dues. Miss a player like Tongi. He was a player to watch. Absolutely right, he was. Class. I think we should go to Sheaf from Coventry, captain, and what a name for a bladesman. Yeah, true. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Yeah, but 10 million they're talking about for him. 10 million quid. Big up the Ramble and all Blades, man. Cheers, Northside. Appreciated. Bill says, interesting thought for you, Jim. Do you think we'll have the same pull with Premier League youth loans this window, or will we be looked at differently now Paul Heckingbottom's gone? CW did it with Hendo, but maybe not seen in the same way as Hecky was a safe pair of hands with youngsters. Good question, mate. Yeah, I've not really thought about it, but Wilder's done okay anti with loans as well. Like you said, Dean Henderson were class. I didn't think Mason Holgate were too bad at a get. Obviously, it didn't work out that they were brilliant, but yeah, maybe not the same pull, because Hecky proved that he would play them, didn't he? That was the difference. Whereas Wilder, if you look at how he used McAtee in the last couple of months, very sparingly. Interesting. RJH says, consortium's buying 80% of the club, apparently. Ollie from the Sheffield United way said that on the latest vid. Well, if that's been revealed, then yeah, that's the case. Give it Hamer, the captaincy. Yes, to many youngsters, can't blood too many at once. So hopefully more experience and quality to vote in. Keep Blaster and Hamer. Absolutely right. We need to, don't we? Need that Kambawala from Man United on loan. Good player. Don't know him all. Don't know him, mate. Come in. I know what you meant, Andy. Fingers crossed the Prince stays. We're short-staffed and a toilet attendant on match day would be nice. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. Oh, dearie me. 284 watching, says Gaz. Only 16 likes. There's 345 now. 350. Let's get some more likes on here. And if you're not subscribed, please do. We're keeping the lights on here at Ramble HQ. Clap on the Prince comments. Best owner in my lifetime. Easily. Thank you, Bill. We seem to agree on a lot at the moment, don't we, Bill? The Prince has been great on the whole. He's just not rich enough. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And I think he's coughed that, and he sort of said that's true. That's my situation. Do you think the sale of the club will go through, says Craig? Yes, I do, mate. Yeah, I think it'll happen. Roof on a free. He's played something like 40 games in the last, did I see it's 5 years or something? He's been so injury prone. But there was a player in there, definitely. Baxter from Bolton and Whiteman from Tottenham. 2 goalkeepers in with Davis. I'll have to have a look, to be honest. All Whiteman from Tottenham. I don't know Whiteman. Garbage -1 for Bry. Prince Abdullah is a Blades legend in my lifetime, says right. I remember McCabe. A lot will remember McCabe, mate. It weren't that long ago. Waidu from Fleetwood, yes, good player, capable centre-back, defensive midfielder and centre midfielder. Who's that remind us of? Chris Basham. I think if you're going for a direct replacement for Bash, you'd go for somebody like Paddy McNair, like Steve mentioned earlier. He's on a free. He's played for Wilder before, played right centre-half, used to play midfield, can play right back if needed, tall, fairly reliable, would be a squad option rather than a starter, potentially. Worrell from Forest, Phillips on loan from Tottenham, a Doffin from Rotherham, centre-back sorted. Ash Phillips, maybe. Jimmy, no Rotherham are fishing in a different pond, but it shows if you want to do business, you can do business. Crack on, Wilder. I think, yeah, I know what you mean. We need to start moving soon, don't we, pal? But there has been reasons for a delay, which I know we're all aware of. Any updates on Buyaboo, Sariki, Freckleton, etc., as they weren't included in the retained list? Yeah, Buyaboo and Sariki, I believe. Sariki signed a new deal, I think, recently. Buyaboo, I think, also signed one. I'm sure that were done mid-season, but Freckleton's out of contract, from what I understand. We've offered him a deal, as have some other clubs, because he did really well at Chelsea. So we'll see, George. See what happens with that, pal. Burrows in at left-back with Reese. Would love that. Well, he'd come in for Reese, wouldn't he? Let's be right. And Reese could potentially drop back into left centre-half. Oh, that's tasty, isn't it? That is tasty, that. Reese Norrington Davis. And I know we love Jack Robinson, or some of you do. But You've got to go what's needed, don't you? Well, we need your builders. If garbage is in net, Jimmy, brick it up. Players up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Biggest hope for new ownership, says Bill, would be to ring fence Arblaster this summer. Absolutely right. Stating the obvious, but if Hamer's injured, sold, there's a real lack of creativity and goals in that squad currently. Hope we bring in some characters and leaders. Team's very soft currently. That is something that Wilder's been adamant about, isn't it? That he wants leaders in this team, as do I. I agree completely. Don't think we'll hold on to him long term unless we go back up and stay there potentially. But think he promotes us next season. Hamer, you've gone with Blaster, haven't you? Yeah, I agree. I think he's that good. I was just going to say the same. Radoni from Huddersfield and James from Birmingham. James will go abroad, I think, won't he? Atalanta, is it, that's been interested in him? Radoni, apparently Coventry couldn't agree a fee for him. Somebody said in chat this morning, they want 10 million for him. If that's true, that they're deluded, but it might also be you're going to have to pay us 10 million quid to get him out of here because he's that important to us in League One. Forgot Rodak on a free. Yeah, he might be somebody we talk about in our squad build pal as we move on to goalkeepers. I'm a Blading St Helens Rugby League fan, hence my name, and unfortunately I'm just an average Joe, no inside info here. Been here a few times now. Excellent channel. Come on, you Red and White Wizards. Thank you, pal. Appreciate the support. Ings from West Ham, Delap from City on loan. They want to sell him, not loan him. Dean from NK Dons. Is that Max Dean? Maybe. Not asking for much, am I? Not much, Halls, no. Slav Paul says, saying that we have lots of positions to fill is irrelevant as we don't know the tactics Chris is going to adopt. That's right, Paul. I know that. 4-4-2, 3-5-2, 4-5-1, but maybe the takeover will determine that. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. You're right, Paul, but I cannot cater to every single formation because it's going to be varied enough just doing the 3-5-2 that we all know. So you'll probably see as we go into the video, my plan is to have a sensible option, a cheap option, and a dream option, if you like. So for each position. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Would love us to bring in some wingers or people who can dribble with the ball and beat a player. Got no dribblers in the squad currently, really, says Bean. That's right. Sarah, good evening. Do think One needs more time, but like Curtis, he's played quite a bit of men's football, but not at champ level. Agreed. Jimmy, we need some definite news. Until we do, we're going to be nervous to what is going to happen. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe, says Andrew. I'd rather come down with everyone out of contract rather than having players on huge wages like QPR did, says Rye. One of our platinum ramblers, thank you, mate. Having players on huge wages, willing to sit on the bench and get paid, we're in a good position. I agree. Santos, Charles, Collins and Sheeran from Bolton, get them all in. I like Dion Charles, I have to say. I'm not too bothered about Santos. I think he's a bit of a big lump, to be honest. Hi, Jimmy. What's the least amount of players you think we need to make a real go at the Championship? I'm thinking 8. I'd say 9. 9. I think the squad's that week. 9 or 10. Just because the bodies I think we'll lose. When will the Blades learn of their fate of the points deduction? We've got it, Michael. We're going to start on -2. That's the starting point next season for us. So they might tear up the Championship, then again, maybe not. Exactly, which is why he's a 2. He's unproven for me. It's a huge no to Lundstrom from Sarah and me. Lundstrom, no, says Al. No chance. Had one good season apart from that. Very, very poor. I agree. John Kennedy from Fluminense for a bit of flair, says Fairfield. I'll take your word for that, pal, because I can't say I've seen him. Lundstrom back on a free. It's a family show, Jim, so I won't say what I think. Thank you, Dublin Blade, for keeping it PG. Lee Pitts says, realistically, with 5 players or top 2 Championship players, Egan, McBurney, Anel, Hamer and Arblaster. The rest are mid to low end, and if our top players don't perform, then we're likely bottom 6, Lee. Bottom 6? Wow. We don't want Lundstrom back, Jimmy. Are we trying to build a squad? We are trying to build a squad, not make it worse. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Bring in Michael Cooper. Dublin Blade, totally agree, mate. Jimmy, do you think Hamer and Archer will stay? If not, then the club must get bigger transfer fees for them to help finance the squad rebuild. I think they might. I think the one more likely to leave would be Hamer, but I think they'll stay. I don't know why. I've just got a bit of a feeling. If Jebo has not signed after all this time, same with McBurney, they're not going to sign now. Just hope we get the quality in. We need it up the Ramble. Thank you, mate. Do you reckon we have any chance of getting a Rico Lewis on loan? No, I don't, mate. No, I don't. I think he'll be more involved next season. And if he went anywhere, it'd be to a top division rather than Championship. 5 loan signings available from the Prem. Chris has 3 signings. Brereton Diaz, Holgate, middling, garbage. Holgate, middling, garbage. Say it here. We'll be up in 2 seasons like last time. Maybe so. Gaz Dunn, you're correct. You're mad about McBurney staying. McBurney's attitude has gone downhill, says Mr. V. And a change to freshen things up are desperately needed. I'm also delighted to hear the Prince is keeping 20%. Me too. He starts for City, we're saying. Maybe so. My concern is trying to replace McBurney will cost 20 million. If we had good forwards, then I would agree with you. Dave Leary says, if there is being a shift in ambition, then we need to be patient for a little longer. Appreciate we need to move, but we can't rush too much. The whole market will start moving soon. Completely right. Susan agrees with Gaz. Why will we let Ollie Mack go when we haven't got a striker? I don't think it's a case of letting him go, Susan. I think he will refuse the deal that's on the table. And I think the club have to cut it off somewhere, don't they? And say, we're not going to offer you more than this. They might have offered him, we don't know. They might have offered him 50 grand a week and we're not going a penny higher. He might be saying 60. Again, that's conjecture. It might be a 20, 30 thing. So we don't know if we're lowballing him or he's high-ticketing us. If your mate buys a Porsche but knows he can't afford the petrol and repairs, then don't you think he's a fool? See our ownership, same model as Lee. Can we sign Billy Whitehurst, please? At least it'd be fun. No, but he bought a classic Porsche, didn't he? So we weren't top of the range. And the more we raced, the more successful we became. And now we can't keep up with the Ferraris. Well, that's not his fault. Oh, see how I did that? I'm proud of myself. Right, I'm going to have to speed up because I'm due on another channel at 8 o'clock, but I'm not really bothered about them FFTV mugs, are we? You'll catch that on the Jimmy Ramble channel, by the way, from whenever this stream finishes. I'm banging the drum for us to get Cameron Brannigan from Oxford, another we could do with in that midfield with Blaster and Gus Hamer up the blades, up the Connor. I would love that, but I don't think we're getting him out of Oxford when they've just been promoted. He's their captain, talisman. It'd be a huge, huge coup to get him. Bean says, don't know about you, but I think Reece Norrington-Davies is better at left centre-back than left wing-back. Don't think he's good enough going forward to play a wing-back. I like him at left centre-half as well, to be fair. But for me, he's our best option at left centre-back and our best option at left wing-back. So I'm delighted he stayed. He just needs to stay fit. Young striker making waves over here is a 16-year-old called Melia at St. Pat's. Arsenal rumoured to be in for him. Ask Curtis Andrews. Ask Curtis and Keith Andrews to put a word in for us. Seen you linked with Mark Leonard, but so is every club in the Championship, I think. Yes, we are, mate. We are. Yeah, there might be a bit more information on him to come soon. Keep it with the Ramble. Just on a positive note on Ollie Mack, I've read this week he's paid up front for some boxing tickets to be given away to people who are struggling. Nice thing to do. Well done, Ollie. He does pull off some really nice stuff like that, doesn't he, McBurney, to be fair? Under the radar as well. If you would spend 10 million plus on one position as a marquee signing, which position would you pick? I'd go for it's got to be a number 9. It's got to be a number 9 for that sort of money. Bri, thank you, pal, for a contribution to the Ramble. Already a Platinum Rambler. Love that profile picture, by the way. I think I'm in there somewhere. Nice. Love that. Cheers, pal. Very much appreciated. On Lundstrom, it's a no from me, Jim, says Andy. Isn't there a new EFL TV deal for the 24-25 season? Does that not mean a greater cash injection for EFL clubs from the TV deal? I'm not sure on a new one for this season, pal. I know that they were saying they were going to share rights to the Carabao Cup with ITV at some stage and some Championship fixtures, but that were from 2026, I think. Is it just me or is Jimmy frozen? You. Sessignon on a free from Tottenham. Again, injury prone. And Ben Johnson on a free from West Ham. Great options. Both great options, but Ben Johnson, he rejected a contract from West Ham in the Premier League. So again, it's getting him to come down. Playing for me. Michael Cooper, yes, yes, yes. Ronnie Edwards from Peterborough says RJH, absolutely right. I'm back. That's good to know. Still need a Will. We need a Will still. I'm holding out for a Will still till the end of the night. Oh no. I'm not even going to do that. Cam Archer loan to buy, says Rye. Can't see no Prem clubs wanting him. He don't want to come to the Championship. I think if we get Cam, or if we're in the mix for Cam, it'll be January time. So I think he'll stay at Villa, try and get in, won't get in. I might be wrong. I think there's a player in there, as you know. McBurney's better defender, but not a striker. Too slow. Get rid, says Stu. It's that dad run that does me. Tuber Akpom, he's playing for Ajax, Lucas. I don't think that'll be a goer, to be honest. Michael says, which channel will you be on at 8 p.m? I'm sharing a stream with Forest Fan TV, so you'll find it on the Jimmy Ramble channel. But it's their stream, but I'm streaming it through the Jimmy Ramble channel. So if you want to go over there and support us and subscribe to that channel, that'd be great too. But we'll look as part of our bigger vision for the future of the Blades Ramble. We're trying to widen our options, and if we can get a second channel to at least be monetized by a number of subscribers, that'd be unbelievable. We don't care about McAtee. He don't care about me. All we care about is John McAtee. Wow. I'll be watching you on the Knots channel, but go after that Ant guy. I ain't even thought about it, to be honest. They just wanted me on, probably to take the mickey, because we're going down, or we've gone down, and we didn't beat the drop, so to speak. Was hoping Jebo signed. Archer could rip it up in the Champ. Yeah, I know Archer will rip it up in the Champ, and it's a shame more than anything else, isn't it? But one of them things, pal. Keeper for me, Jimmy. Bazunu from Southampton, absolute monster and agile too, but they've just gone up, mate. They will undoubtedly. He's their number one in T. I know he didn't play in the playoff final, but I think it was due to injury. I might be wrong. Me too, Mr. V. You're going to be watching us too, Sarah. Thank you. Make sure it's not on the Knots channel, though. Make sure it's on Jimmy Ramble. Finally made you live. Sorry I'm late. Pixie, you've made the live just as we're ending. So thank you for joining us tonight. Just let's have another last reminder of our what we think, or I certainly think, is the squad strength as it currently stands, with no Wes, Davis, Baldock, obviously Bash, Max Lowe. I think Egan stays. I think Koulibaly goes. I think Vinny Souza goes. I think Anel goes. I think McBurney goes. So I think the current strength of our squad, out of 10 in each position, is 3 for a goalkeeper. That is clearly the one position that we need to strengthen as a priority. Other positions for me that are the priority: right, centre-back and strikers. They are key to us coming on. Then the left-hand side needs looking at before we look at John Egan alternatives, Jayden Bogle alternatives. It's such a big job, isn't it? Such a big job. But I thank you all, as always, for joining me tonight. I'll read back on the comments and see if you think we're onto something, because if you are, the next step now, we'll be looking at the goalkeeping department and who can we bring in. We're going to be looking at I'll stop you from saying it yourselves, a Prince Abdullah option, cheap. We'll be looking at a cheap option. We'll be looking at whether that's a loan or whatever it might be. We'll be looking at a reasonable option, what we spend a little bit of money for, something like that. And we'll be looking at a dream scenario. If a takeover happens and we've got a lot of money to go with, then we'll look at who else we could potentially bring in. So there'll be a variety in each position. So keep it Ramble. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blade! Ramble on!